your intention to be the best has to always be there.
When you say candy and catcher, we're done.
Never skip leg day.
Apparently, you can't outplay bad training and a terrible diet. Let's find out why.
Welcome to DSPN Softball Central Podcasts, your comprehensive look into the world of fast-pitch softball.
In softball, strength and nutrition matter just as much as skill. Our guest today is an expert in both. She's been featured in Women's Health magazine, has worked with NFL players, FIFA soccer teams, and knows what elite performance really takes. She's an NSAM certified strength and conditioning specialist with a master's degree in kinesiology from CBU. Denise Cervantes is here to give us the real deal. Hello, Dee. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I've been looking forward to this one, I'll say, since you booked. I think it was about a month ago, so definitely excited to have you.
So the first thing I wanted to ask you about is proteins, carbs, what actually matters and what's just noise.
So the proteins, a lot of athletes get this wrong. Proteins are the building blocks. Okay, this is what builds the muscles. So you need that for recovery so that way you can go into your next session strong. Your carbs are the fuel source. So what I see a lot of athletes do is before practice or before their training session, I'll ask them, what did you eat? And they'll say, I had a protein bar. And I was like, no, you need a carb. Carbs are the fuel source that are going to help with your performance. Our muscles use something called glucose for energy, and they have those glucose muscle stores. When you train, you need carbs, a lot of carbs, especially as a travel softball athlete. Carbs are the fuel. Protein is the building block. Proteins are things like your meats, chicken, beef, fish, ground turkey. Carbs, bananas, apples, oatmeals, things before training, those go-go squeeze applesauces, those are really good. Something good to have before training is something called a simple carb. Simple carbs because they get into the bloodstream really fast and the muscles can use them. It gets into the bloodstream quick for your training so that way you can be more powerful. It also helps you cognitively so that way you're locked in, you're able to follow the game. So that's an important aspect to it. And then after your practice, you want to have your proteins. If they're not properly fueled and they're out there training, their performance is going to lack, meaning that their form and technique is going to lack. It's not going to be as strong as it should be. And they're not going to be as focused and locked in as they should be. So their movements are going to be off, and that can create some injury too. So they want to make sure they're getting enough carbs and protein.
One of the things I was going to say is I love that you clarified what a carb is because, and a healthy carb, because I'll tell you my daughter would be like, see, Mom, I can have all the carbs I want. I can have, chips and white bread and all of this other stuff. But clarifying the healthy carbs you need before a workout is really valuable information. So thank you so much for that. This episode is sponsored by the Glove Pope. From custom glove builds to pro level relacing, break-ins, and conditioning, the Glove Pope has mastered the art of glove restoration. Visit theglovepope.com. You can find them also on social media platforms at the Glove Pope. Mention DSPN and receive a 15% discount.
So, Dee, how did you get into strength training and nutrition?
I actually wanted to be a physical therapist. So I attended Cal State Long Beach for my undergrad in hopes of getting into the physical therapy program over there. But I had to do my pre-requirement classes, and those classes were actually kinesiology courses. And so I was able to do a lot of the kinesiology courses, and I ended up making these really good friends and I actually just wanted to stay with my friends. So that's what got me into kinesiology, is like I wanted to go and stay with my friends and graduate with them and do what they were doing. And then I spoke to this really cool counselor, and we're still friends to this day. Her name is Jan Schroeder, and she really opened my eyes to like all the different types of jobs. And when I was like, hey, this isn't bad. Like I don't have to work as hard and keep going to school for physical therapy. I can just stay right here and do my kinesiology.
You've worked with NFL players and FIFA soccer teams. What principles carry over directly to softball athletes?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think the principle of being locked in and understanding that everything you approach, your intention to be the best has to always be there. Like for the girls, well, they'll understand this. You can't go into your warm up just being mid. You have to have the intention of how you are going to play in the game, right? So the minute the girls, their cleats hit that dirt, that's the minute they get locked in. They never want to go in lackadaisical, because guess what? That's going to carry on over to your game.
Besides staying fit, what else do you do for fun?
I like art. So I was a MAC makeup artist before I went off to college. And I used those skills to do not traditional pretty makeup, but I did special effects makeup. And so for Halloween, I made myself into like a comic book character, which was really cool. I made myself into Drake the rapper, and I really like doing that kind of stuff. Again, created with art, and I love art. That's my other hobby.
What are the biggest strength training mistakes you see softball players making?
Ooh, so same thing. The intentionality of your training. You got to go in and have intention to do well, and everything that you're working on should translate over to the game. Like I tell my clients, because I'm also a CrossFit coach, when we are weightlifting, every time you approach the bar, no matter what weight you have on that bar, you approach it like it's your 1 rep max, like it's the heaviest bar you're going to lift ever. And you have to use that correct form and that correct technique and the same intention, right? Same thing with softball, whether you're training in your session, your strength and conditioning session, your speed and agility session, or training on the field. You approach the ball, you approach your at bat, and you approach your fielding the same way you're going to approach it in the game. Because if you train like that, you're going to show up into the game like that. So you got to go 100 or don't go at all.
100. I'm going to use that.
I know parents can relate to this, but you'll see girls out there warming up and they're just kind of chit-chattering, and they go about their warm-ups just so lackadaisical. There's no intention behind the movements. You're not only warming up your joint structures and your muscles, you're also warming up your brain-muscle connection, right? So you're warming up that coordination also. And that's like the best way to prep for the game, so that your body is 100%, all body systems are ready to go.
At what age should players start their strength training, and what should that look like? Kid wants to start lifting weights at 10 years old. How would you advise them, because they want to be a better softball player?
Yeah, I think 10 years old is a great age to start. You're building all these motor skills starting from very young. As babies, we're learning how to walk, right? And then from there, we play, which I think the kids are missing these days. There's not a lot of kids that get to play outside and learn those skills. When you're little, or when you see kids, they try to throw a rock in the air and then hit it with a stick. That's very hard for them at first. But with practice and with repetition, you're learning that skill. And your brain learns and your body learns that skill. Your brain is making all these different connections. It's called neuroplasty. This means that there's all these nerve connections, and they kind of make like little roadmaps from your brain to like your muscles, and they build. So let's say a kid is learning a squat. I'm going to teach that 10-year-old how to squat without weight, just so I can see his body mechanics and that and they're moving correctly, and his body's understanding that skill. There's going to be little neuron connections making a little map and trying to figure out how to do it. And then as he keeps doing it, those connections get stronger and stronger. So the earlier they learn, the better. So then once those connections are built and his central nervous system understands, then he's going to be able to add weight.
So should it be earlier, and 10 years old is the time you start adding weight, or is the weight added at 11 or 12? It's like in softball, you're building the fundamentals of weight training early, and then you start adding the weight. No kid in 6U is throwing from center field to home plate, right? They're lucky if they get it from center field to center field. That's it. What I'm hearing you say is it's really never too young to start the strength training. It's a matter of when you start adding the weights because they're already well versed in the movements.
So in fitness, we call it the fitness age. So at any age, your fitness age can be different. Like a beginner, I would say, oh, that's just a fitness baby. Then you keep working on the movements. Then you become a fitness toddler, and then you keep working on the movements, and for a long time, then you get better. Then you're a fitness adolescent. It's the same concept in sports.
Is it okay for a 10-year-old to be squatting with weights?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
As long as they have proper form and are being led into how to properly lift, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it depends on how developed they are, how skilled they are, and they have to make sure they have a good trainer that is eyeballing them, making sure that they have those skills in order to put those weights on.
So, Dee, how important is lower body for power? Can you elaborate on that?
100% important. Never skip leg day. Legs are strong. They are the foundation. I mean, they're the only two things holding you up in your life. And this is just my kinesiology brain thinking on this question is girls go through a lot of changes, and the lower body changes a lot. So around age 12, maybe 12 to 15, they hit what's called a growth spurt or puberty. And when a girl goes through puberty, there's a plethora of things that happen to their body, which is very confusing to them. And it happens like that. Their hips get wider, right? So a girl's hips will widen. And then what that causes is a weird Q angle. So if my hands right here are the hips, right? And my elbows are my knees. So what happens is when the hips widen, look at the angle my knees are at, right? The knees are almost like that weird angle. So when they run, it can be bad on the knees. And when they make certain movements, it can be weird on the knee. The knee will have like it's like a different kind of torque on the knee. Also, the center of gravity is going to change because the hip angle changed. Girls will tend to get more quad dominant also. So me, as a strength and conditioning coach, when I'm eyeballing these girls and working with them, I want to make sure that the posterior or the hamstrings are also strong. I want to make sure that everything is balanced. If there is an imbalance, that can cause things like ACL tears, meniscus tears. Girls are very much more prevalent to getting knee injury. So you want to make sure that they're training the hamstring. You want to make sure coaches and strength training coaches are watching their mechanics and how they're moving. And then also it's important for these girls to know to keep the legs strong. So always, go to the gym, lift weights, do your deadlifts, do your squats, get those foundational movements in because you're creating stronger joints like that.
And in softball also is that the lower half is what helps you drive the ball when batting. If you look at some of these home run hitters, it's more about the technique, but the power comes from the hips.
Hips are very important. In my master's degree, I did a lot of studying on softball pitchers. And for the pitchers that were getting the most velocity on the ball and even overhand throwing velocity on the ball were the girls with the bigger hips because they were using those things. And when girls, God gave us these hips for a reason, use them, it's going to create power and put that velocity on the ball, put that velocity on the bat, right? It's a good thing. And that's what I try to explain to these girls. They're so young and so impressionable. And there's so much social media out there telling them to shrink themselves and to be small. And I'm like, no, when you go through puberty, there's a lot we got to deal with. But estrogen is really cool because that's going to help us get and put on muscle. So if we do put on a little bit of weight, it is good for us. That's our energy. That's our power. So we have to make sure they're getting in their calcium. That's another one that I wanted to talk about, because this age, the girls are going to need about 1,300 milligrams of calcium. And to put that into perspective, 1 cup of milk is about 800 milligrams. And then you want to make sure they're getting more calcium like that throughout the day, because that bone is so important.
My daughter is lactose intolerant. So what are some good substitutions, since we're on that subject of calcium? What do you recommend?
There's kale, there's greens, there's lactose-free milk. There's fortified cereals that have the calcium in there.
If you're a fan of the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We offer a $5 single tier with no frills. It's just helping support the show. Every cent goes into making the next episode better. You can find more details at patreon.com/softball central. How should softball players be fueling their body before games and during tournaments? Are we talking all carbs, or if there's a 2-hour game break, should it be protein and then carb up again? What's the nutritional roller coaster that these girls need to go on to have peak performance?
So to answer that, I would start in the morning, maybe about 2 to 3 hours before game time. So maybe during your travel time. And I would do a travel oats. So I'll tell you how I do mine. So what you do is you get a mason jar, and I have a whole bunch of mason jars. I'll fill that up with about a half a cup to a cup of oatmeal. And then I put my milk in there and about a cup of milk. I'll drizzle some honey in there for a quick carb. And then I'll put some blueberries in there, and also 1 scoop of whey protein. Now, I love whey protein because we'll go over the numbers of how much protein we need, but basically for a girl who is like 60 kilograms or like 130 pounds is going to need 5 chicken breasts throughout the day. So it's good to break that up by having a whey protein. So I'll put that mason jar. I'll make a few of them so that way I have it throughout the week. But that's something you can take with you. So once that sits overnight, you get up early in the morning, get that mason jar with your spoon. You can have that on the road, driving to your game. So that should be at least 2 to 3 hours before the game. Before the game, that's when you're going to incorporate your banana, your apple, even a sports drink can do it too. That's when you get the carbs, so that way your body's ready to go and the muscles have that fuel to perform. Then there's a such thing called intra-game nutrition. This is where you can do things like candy. You want a quick acting carb. You can have this in your game break. A Starburst has, for 6 pieces, 24 grams. So you could have 6 pieces of these. So about 20 to 30 grams of fast-acting carbs would be really good. And it's really important, especially for positions like catchers and pitchers, because they're constantly moving. Their muscles are getting depleted of that glycogen. So they need some glycogen to come in fast, which glycogen is carbs, right? So those candies can help, but a banana can do it. An apple can do it. One of my other favorites, it's an applesauce. These ones are called Go-Go Squeeze. Some of my favorite ones, because they're in a pouch. They can just squeeze it. They don't need a spoon. 2 of those for the game if in between innings. Perfect. And then they also want to make sure they're hydrating. A lot of water. If they want electrolytes, they can do that too, but a lot of water. And then immediately after the game, they want to make sure they have that quick acting carb again, because the muscle glycogen stores are going to be empty. We want to fill those up. They can have a smoothie from Jamba Juice, and they also need a protein. I mean, an easy way to go would be like a muscle milk or the Fairlife muscle or Fairlife protein drinks, the chocolate drinks, as long as they get a protein and a carb to fuel up. Then 2 hours after, then they could have their meal. They can go to like Chipotle and get like a nice salad bowl with their proteins and fibers. I will tell you the things you don't want to have before a game, though. You don't want to have high fiber, so no salads. You don't want to have high fats, and you don't want to have protein before the game. That can kind of wreak havoc on your stomach. Yeah, you don't want that during the game. More carbs before.
That is really perfect stuff. Exactly what I was looking for on that. But the other thing that I think is amazing is that she has props, and I love the props.
I do.
That is fantastic. And that that leads into the next question.
Hold on for a second.
Okay.
You know what's going to happen now is our daughter is going to say to us, Miss D said I could have candy in the dugout.
Oh yeah. When you say candy and catcher, I was like, we're done.
Oh,
we can't argue with her anymore.
No. You don't want to do too much. Only 20 to 30 grams is fine during the game. That's all you need. And you can even get that with a fruit juice. You can get that with like a Gatorade. It has exactly 20 grams of carbs in there for you. So you make sure, don't get the sugar-free ones. The ones that say zero sugar, there's no carbs in those ones. Get the ones with the real sugar in it.
We've been doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You need carbs. You need the fuel.
Well, you need to tell me which coach is at first base with the Sour Patch Kids, and I'm going to get there because that is my favorite candy of all time. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So, Dee, how important is sleep for young athletes?
Sleep is important, 100% important. When they are training, what we're doing is during our sessions is we're kind of breaking down the body. And then when you're doing the same sport over and over, you're using that same body part over and over. That sleep is the most vital time of your day or of your night where the body gets to recoup and recover. A lot of our recovery happens there in sleep. That's the best recovery you can get.
So what signs tell you an athlete is either underfueling or overtraining?
So performance will lack, mood, you'll start seeing it in their mood. You'll start seeing it in nagging injuries. That's the one. Nagging injuries that just won't go away and they just can't heal. So they're underslept, they're underfueled, they don't have enough protein. So a lot of times, I mean, I always see the girls complaining about shoulders never getting better. I'm like, just rest it. Or their knee, they just need to get more sleep, get more protein, get more carbs, take a little rest off the knee. Maybe sit on a bucket and throw and get off the knee.
So it's not really overtraining. I guess it's hard to overtrain, but it's more about the fueling that they're doing that creates the nagging injuries, correct?
The fueling and the recovery. The fueling and the recovery have to be locked in.
So how can coaches, as coaches, better support strength and nutrition without overcomplicating things for these athletes?
I think these athletes, like the girls that I've worked with, don't know. They don't understand. So I think having like a part of the practice where they can sit down and the coaches can educate on why it's important. You have to really know how to teach it to these girls so they understand how important it is to have that muscle and to have that strength.
I think you could possibly even incorporate it into a film day and say, hey, just so you guys know, this is what it looks like to have a meal. You should have this size of a protein. You should have 2 cups of vegetables and again, I don't know how to explain the macros to your degree, but I think like you're saying is having it a part of film day, taking 15 minutes aside to talk about nutrition with the girls and hydration expectations. Would you agree or no?
Yeah. I 100% agree. So let's go over the protein. CDC recommends 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. But for an athlete, these softball athletes, it's generally recommended to have 2 grams of protein because they're constantly tearing up their muscles. They need to build it back. So we need more as athletes. So 2 grams per kilogram of body weight.
So Dee, if an athlete only had time for one thing in the gym, what should it be?
I'm going to say power clean.
Power cleans? Okay.
I'm going to say power cleans. Yes.
Good answer.
It's going to take a lot of time in the gym, a lot of technique, but also builds that power. I love coaching power cleans.
The power clean is a fast, explosive lift used in Olympic-style training and athletic conditioning. It's designed to build power, speed plus strength, especially in your hips, legs, and back. You lift a barbell from the floor to your shoulders in one explosive motion, then catch it in a partial squat.
I can tell you have a lot of passion behind it, and that's why it's just been so much fun having this conversation.
So we'll be right back with the 7th inning walk-off. Welcome back, everybody. It's time for the 7th inning walk-off. This is a little trivia game that includes opinion questions, and each question has a point, or we call them runs. And some of the questions are 2 parts, so you can get an RBI in that question. There's no great big prize at the end of it. You get a hearty thanks for being here and a T-shirt that we'll send you. So we are going to start the 7th inning walk-off. Are you ready, Dee?
Ready.
All right. So who came up with the name kinesiology?
Ooh, the name kinesiology? Ooh, okay. So I know that kinesiology started off in the 16th century. Aristotle was the one that kind of started analyzing human body movements. And then there was a chiropractor by the name of George Goodall that started applied kinesiology. He was a chiropractor. Was it George Goodhart?
No, actually, it's it's Carl August Georgi. So he didn't get the run, but do you want to take a stab at what year that was that he came up with the name?
The year? Was it in the 1900s? 1800s?
Yes.
18? Really? That early? I thought kinesiology was later. I would say 1860s.
Pretty close. 1854.
Dang, I'm always swinging for the fences. I struck out.
That's all right.
What year was CBU founded or established?
In the 50s. 1950s?
Yes.
Did I get it?
Yes.
Woo, RBI?
I
got a ribby?
No, that's a run.
it.
That's a run.
Oh, that's a run.
Yeah. And then what year was CBU eligible for Division I play?
Oh, that was recent kind of.
Mm-hmm.
The 2022-23 season.
Oh,
2022. You get the run and the RBI on question number 2. One food you wish more athletes would eat. Just one food.
Sweet potato.
Excellent. I
love sweet potato.
I like sweet
Put it
potato
in a pie.
and my wife's grandmother, who just recently passed,
yeah.
she introduced me to her sweet potato pie, and I've never had anything like it in my life. I loved it.
And every time, is Rob coming? I'm going to make him a sweet potato pie. What burns more calories, sleeping or watching TV?
I mean, it should be pretty even, unless you're a fidgety person. If you're a fidgety person and you shake and move around like me, then watching TV. But I don't know because I've heard that I sleep like a maniac. Oh, okay.
No, you're right.
Okay.
TV, but only slightly. And
Only
then
slightly,
for the
yes.
ribby, how many calories?
By 40 calories.
40 to 65. She's
Dang.
good.
No way.
Good.
Yes.
Oh,
2 more runs. That's 4 runs for you, girl.
Oh, look at that.
Way to go. Okay. You should get the run on this, no problem. True or false?
Well, we'll see.
True or false? You should always work smaller muscle groups before large ones. True or false?
False. That's so false.
Wow, I didn't think she'd get that one. I thought I'd really stump her.
I know. Professor Cervantes is on it. Biggest myth about girls and strength training.
That they're going to get big. They're going to get bulky. That myth has been around for so long. Get rid of that.
Okay, question 7, last question of the 7th inning walk-off. Who is the famous bodybuilder that starred in the 1977 documentary Pumping Iron?
Is it Ronnie Coleman?
I'll give you a hint. He was also the governor of California once.
Arnold! Get to the chopper!
Okay. To the chopper! Yeah. And I'd like to put a special mention out to the Scrazy the
Oh, my
Cervantes
Scrazies.
family, the Scrazies and the Cervantes family, and just say hi.
Hello,
Thank you for
crazies.
all your support.
So just kind of to summarize this whole thing, obviously we talked about nutrition and weight training, and basically what I gathered was it's never really too young to start the weight training, whether it's just the movements and then you can add the weights later. The nutrition stuff was more carbs before, protein after the
Yes.
activity. Yes. So
Perfect.
and then also breaking down the amount of protein these athletes need. Wow. No clue. So no wonder they're moody.
Dee, again, I wanted to thank you so much for being on with us today. How do people get a hold of you if they were interested in learning more? And what are your social media handles if you would like to share that?
Yeah, definitely. So you can find me at Defined by Denise, and that's my Instagram. I have an Instagram, and they can always message me there. So it's D_FINED_by BY_, and then my government name, DENISE.
You have published workouts that I have actually used on SunnyFit. So do tell me, how do people find your workouts?
Yeah, so they can follow me also on a free app. You can download it for free. It is called Sunny Health and Fitness. It's a red icon with a little squiggly S on there. It's set up just like an Instagram or social media. You can toggle through, find me as a trainer, and follow me there. I also post a lot of my articles and blogs on there if you want to read up on those, but feel free to have a free workout with me. You'll have a lot of fun.
So just want to thank you again, Dee, for being here. It's so much fun. Love talking to you, whether we're doing this or we're at the softball field or we're just hanging out in the backyard. So it's just been a lot of fun. So thank you very much.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much for having me. I love all of this. So hopefully it helped some of the parents, and hopefully the girls listen too and understand how important the carbs and protein are.
Remember, everybody, you can find us online at www.dspn.online. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram at DSPN Plus. Like, subscribe, and follow.
You can find this episode and all of our episodes on www.dspn.online and wherever you get your podcasts.
And if you're a fan of the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We offer a $5 single tier with no frills. It's just helping support the show. Every cent goes into making the next episode better. You can find more details at patreon.com/softball central.
Thanks again to the Glove Pope for the support and sponsorship of this podcast. They don't just fix gloves, they transform them. Make sure your glove is field ready and built to last. Don't forget to mention DSPN to get your 15% discount.
I'm Rob D.
And I'm Samara. Thank you for tuning in to DSPN's Softball Central podcast.
Until next time, put that ball in play. You never know what's going to happen. Ciao.